Hi, everybody. It is Emilia and April coming to you live for the Sacred Partnership Summit. I'm so excited to have April with us today, and I want to tell you a little bit about April. But first, hi, April.
Hello, hello. I'm just excited about being here and thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes, thank you for coming. So April is known as the loveologist. She's a certified love coach specializing in interracial dating. Her company is called Authentic Love. And she does have a book that she wrote called What Your Mama Didn't Tell You About Dating. And there's so much in dating. I mean, it's just so much to know, so much to know. After being single for many years and having a temper tantrum about doing everything alone, April decided she wanted to be married again. So she's on that path now. She jumped back into the dating game to discover that the game had completely changed from years and years ago when you were dating, when we didn't even have cell phones, right? And she acquired some powerful wisdom through this journey. The powerful wisdom because there is a mastery of dating online, and there is a pattern of behaviors that many women and men make that lead them to not being able to connect with a person who's compatible with them. And so that's what we're going to talk about. And yes, they do. And I know that too, because I help a lot of women. And yes, there are certain patterns that everybody does that just don't work. And what I love about April already, because we just had a chat before we got on, is that she doesn't avoid hard topics. She's willing to go there. And it's really, really refreshing and enjoyable to talk with somebody like that, because I just feel at ease and I feel great. So welcome, April Cofie.
Hello again. I am excited about this chat and I'm excited about the fact that, we're going to talk about interracial dating, but we're going to talk about some of the spiritual part as well. And as we go along, I want people to understand that a lot of things that they have in their mind about interracial dating are just wrong. And that's it. So I'm looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, and dating in general, I think, right? Because there's just so much out there that so many programs and misaligned messages, I think, that just don't work. So yes, amazing, amazing, amazing. So I love that you say you can have the man of your dreams regardless of your age, your size, or your skin color. Because yes, that is something. I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. Every woman tells herself all kinds of stuff. So let's talk about what are some of the myths that happen with these kinds of topics, and especially around interracial dating.
You just listed most of them.
Yeah.
So many women just think that they're just not qualified to date outside their culture. And like you said, they're concerned about their size. Some ladies seem to think that guys from other cultures, you always see them out with the skinny women, but they like us curvy women as well. You have the dark-skinned women or the African-American women. They seem to think that they're too dark. Some people are concerned about their hair. Is the hair too curly? Is the hair too straight? And these are just all of these different ideas that women have about dating, and they're just wrong. And you have to remember, men are men. They are human. Men like what they like. They don't like what they don't like. And so we also know that men are quite visual. So when they're checking you out to see if you have the beauty characteristics, before they approach you and talk to you, that they like. And when I started dating again, I was surprised as to how many men were fascinated by the gray. It was just really, really interesting how, I would be online and the first thing the guy would say was, "I like your hair." And I'm like, okay, but men like what they like. And also another thing too is that women are concerned about things that I just consider just unnecessary. Like I had a lady to say to me, "Well, nobody from another culture ever approached me." But what it is you're not knowledgeable about it. And when men are wanting to approach a lady from another culture, a lot of times they will simply observe you for a while, because they want to make sure that you're open to it. So if you're not presenting yourself as being open, then they're not going to approach you. And so there's just other different things, especially when you're talking about interracial dating, that you need to know to help you progress in an interracial dating experience. And I love sharing with people these things so that they can shift their mind and get an understanding, because a lot of people desire an interracial relationship in secret. And so I want to be there to help them, to support them. I know I ran across a lot of guys that were in their 50s who had not been married before. Why? Because they wanted to date women of a particular race, and that might have been taboo in their younger years.
Wow. Yes, yes, exactly. And I want to ask you how we can best understand the partner's culture, background, and experience. But I also want to say, it's not just race, it's culture. It's family of origin patterns. It's sometimes even wealth, right? Age, we talked about already. So there's so many things. And so this interracial dating piece is about, I think what it has to, how I'm seeing it is like, we need to be sensitive and open to who people are, who they are, regardless of what it looks like on the outside, because the outside is not, it actually has to do very little with the success, right? Like you said, when you desire marriage, your relationship is about your happiness, not those looking in from the outside. Those looking in from the outside have no idea.
Those looking in from the outside don't have to live your life. And a lot of times those looking in from the outside are people in your family, like the older people in your family. Those seems to be the ones that are really, really concerned about whether you are in an interracial relationship or not. But the thing is, these people are older, and it's your happiness. And you may not like this because it's a little blunt, but the thing is, they're going to go to glory. Are you still going to be single and unhappy? And some of the ways for you to actually understand the person or get to know the person is you've got to communicate. It doesn't really matter what type of relationship you have. Communication is the key to having a good foundation for you to spring off of. So you've got to communicate. You've got to talk. You've got to ask them about things. This is something I didn't know. See, I was married to a guy from Ghana. I didn't know that I needed to know about his culture. And not just his culture as in, this is what the people of Ghana do. I needed to know about what goes on in his family. I needed to know about family traditions or relationship dynamics. And a lot of people are unaware of needing to know that and how that can have bearing on your relationship. So you've got to communicate, you've got to ask questions, you've got to also remember that when you're in an interracial or intercultural relationship, there is a learning curve when it comes to communication. Because especially if they're from a different country, they're going to say some things where they're going to say what you should do when really they should be saying what you shouldn't do. Or they're going to have plurals on words that shouldn't be plural. Or they're going to do like I do with my Spanish. I call it Spanglish because it's a mixture of English and Spanish. And I can say a sentence to you and it'll have some English words in it and some Spanish words in it. But you've got to be patient. You've got to understand that there's a learning curve. And you've got to be open to listening and having your heart and mind set on, I'm going to understand this situation. Because a lot of times, something from a person's culture can get them upset and you'll be like, that's nothing. But you want to listen and you want to ask more questions and maybe drill down on the situation so that you can support them. You might even need to ask them, what can I do? Let me just give you an example. Like I said, I was married to a guy from Ghana. And I had not a clue what the word coup meant. Didn't know what a coup was. I was young, I was in my 20s. So he started talking about, well, you know, it's a coup over there where my mom and dad are. And I'm like, and I guess he read my face. So he began to tell me that a coup is when you're in a country and there's one government entity and another government entity trying to take over. And he began to explain to me about how they needed some care packages, but because it was a coup, the packages never arrived the way we sent them. And so he explained this to me, and he would get things, or he would say he wanted to get things. And so what I did to support him was I just started bringing home stuff, because he said what they really, really need is a lot of things that we take for granted. Like his daddy needed razors to shave with, they needed soap, they needed toothpaste. And so I would just begin to bring stuff home, and then we gather it all and send a package. And then a week after we sent a package, he'd follow up. And of course, the package had been broken open, but they managed to get most of the stuff that we sent. So this was an area that I had to just chill on, you know, because, you know, people are really close to their parents. They want to take care of their parents, but here he is miles away. So you've got to learn about things that are going on within the family, as well as within the general culture of the country. And you have to also understand about people who are here and their family is just away, and how they feel. You don't want them to continue, you don't want them to feel lonely, but you've got to be able to understand, be patient, have a learning curve with that communication, and don't get offended when they say different things. Make sure that your heart is softened and you're ready to understand it or to communicate about it.
Yes, yes. And it's funny, I love the example you gave, because it's the family, but even in the same race couples, you have these issues. So it's like this, the sensitivity that we would develop interracially dating, it can be taken into, even if we didn't end up with a partner that was a different race, all of it would apply, because it's a different family, it's a different person, you know, it's all about the cultural sensitivity and all the things that we need to know to be a better partner, all the
Yes.
things that we need to be willing to ask and think about and consider, right, to be a better partner. So how can we show, like in the case that we have a different culture, how can we show our appreciation for the differences, for their culture, for their history, for what maybe what maybe might seem foreign to us?
Like I said, I have learned to speak some Spanish. And for some reason, I tend to draw Hispanic men. Who would have known? Okay. But when we lived in Oklahoma, my daughter and I lived in Oklahoma, Spanish was a staple in the K through 12 education. So I too learned some Spanish. And you want to learn their language and learn at least how to have a basic conversation, because I can ask you how you're doing or how many grandchildren you have or whatever, and it might be Spanglish now, but I can do that. That when you learn somebody's language, they really, really have an appreciation and they open up for you. This will help you when you're meeting the friends and family as well. Another thing is not only to learn about the names of various dishes or foods that they eat, but learn how to cook it. This will give you brownie points with mom-in-law or future mother-in-law, okay? And here's a dating tip, a date night tip. If you are with a person who's from another culture and there is a museum that you can get to that deals with their culture, when the guy is asking you what kind of things you would like to do, say you'd like to go to that museum. This is kind of a win-win situation, okay? Because if you get a guided tour, you have them telling you about general cultural things from that culture. But if you just go with him and let him just tell you, then he's probably going to weave some things in there that have to do with general culture, but he's going to weave some family things and some personal experiences in there. And so this is how you show your appreciation, by participating. Let me give you this, I love this example that I heard about. Okay, so this young man is dating this Black woman, and they've been dating for a while. They're just deeply in love. And so it's Christmas, and she invites him to go home with her. And he's like, yes. And so they get there, they meet the family, and she's told him different things about different persons in the family. So he came with gifts for each person according to their personality and things that she had told him. And so they're sitting there passing out the gifts. And she said, so where's mine? He said, oh, I'll give you yours later. Well, he had also planned to propose to her. But the other thing that he did that was so awesome, yes, it ranks right up there with a proposal. There was a particular stringed instrument that she and her family, they were from Uganda. There was a particular stringed instrument that she and her siblings and her parents played, and they sang a specific song. This young man went and found that instrument, and he went and found someone to teach him how to play and sing the song.
Wow.
Talk about appreciating somebody's culture.
Yeah.
And when I heard this, I just exploded. I was like, man. So, you know, the way you can show your appreciation is you need to get in there, you need to participate, you need to try the foods, you need to try to cook the foods, you need to learn about the dances. Maybe you even want to learn about some childhood game or fun that he did, and you can do it with them. Just participate, be a part. Just like in a I call it a traditional relationship, you would make yourself part of their day-to-day things or things that they did before. You definitely do that when it comes to an intercultural or interracial relationship.
Amazing. Oh, I love that story. So beautiful, so beautiful. And then I think one of the issues that we have, and I know I had this when I dated interracially also, was handling friends and family who like don't think that's cool or don't think it should continue. And then, you know, it's like if you're going for that sacred partnership, if you're going for that real relationship and you found somebody who happened to not be the same race, because you know maybe that's your path and maybe that's part of your mission on earth, then what do we do? What do we do? How do we handle them? How do we handle them?
One thing for yourself to make sure you are ready for this is you need to make sure that if interracial dating is something you want to do or that you're open to, that if you do come in contact with someone, you start a relationship, you need to make sure that you are all in. And when it comes to dealing with friends and family, you are to be aware that yes, you may lose some friends. There may become a little friction with some family members. There are some that are going to be genuinely concerned about you, maybe your safety, but then there's others that may be instigators. So one of the things that you want to do is before you take your person to meet your family, make sure that you tell them in advance that this person is not from your culture or what culture they're from. Because that is a double-edged sword. You get there, they don't know, they start acting all off-key, but it says to the person that you are with, you're displaying, you're shamed or you're hiding. You're not trying to, but this is the message they are getting.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes.
So,
and yeah. And it could be for anything. Like it doesn't even have to, I mean, it's definitely when it comes to race, but it could be culture, it could be profession, it could be where they divorced, it could be so many things. This applies to so many things.
Yes. And not only do you want to tell them that the person is of a different culture, you may want to tell them some things about them. Show them a picture, whatever you can present that is positive. And then there's some people you're going to know in advance, you're already going to have that feeling that there's going to be an issue. So that would be the person that you might want to kind of go talk to. Remember, we can't make people do and act the way we want them to, but we can definitely go and feel them out. There has been guys who, how do I want to say this? I know of one particular guy who knew there was going to be problems with particular family members. And what he did was he made sure that he didn't take his lady to meet those people. He knew that there was going to be more than just an off-key phrase or something said. And this also takes me into the thing about interracial dating where people are concerned about their safety. When you are with the right person who loves you, they want you to be safe. So they're going to protect you. So like I said, this guy would not take her around those people. And when they got ready to have the family dinner and stuff, those relatives were not there. And I know they will just protect you. Let me just say that they're going to protect you, especially about things that they know. And then even in conversation in a room, the guys are going to do what they do because they were built and designed to be protectors. If you're in the room, he's in the room, and he sees something's not going well, believe me, he's either going to physically jump and shield you, or he's going to verbally shield you. You don't have to be concerned about the safety within your relationship as much as you do with the people on the outside. And so this is something that you can't have, what they call it, you got to have thick skin. You've got to have thick skin. But that's just part of it. But even in a traditional relationship, they'll find something else wrong, just like you.
Exactly.
They'll find something.
Exactly. And I love that. I love when you're like, you gotta be in.
Yes.
You know, and this is a theme so much with this whole sacred union, because I keep talking about we're creating it. Not them, not society, not roles, not ideas, not dogma, not religion.
Mm-hmm.
We're creating it. We're co-creating it. And so who you choose and how you want to be with that person, you know, when you are in your own authority, your own power about that, then, you know, just like we talked to Tracy and Tate just before this, and a couple that's in the summit, right? Like when you're in your authority, you're going to co-create that relationship regardless of those barriers.
Yes.
And there's a million barriers, and race is not the only one. There's a million of them, right?
You know, while you're talking about we co-create. When you are with the right person and you build that bond and you become connected, you can handle anything, especially outside of the relationship.
Yeah.
And that's part of that getting to know each other, understanding each other, knowing what that person's going to deal with or how they're going to deal with a particular thing versus how they're not. That is just such a strong bond. And that is something that I've really found in a lot of the interracial relationships. That bond is built between the two of them. So when they're out and about or whatever, they can just handle anything, because it's like, I always say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They used to stand in a circle, the three of them with their backs to each other, and each person was taking care of whatever was in front of them. And that's just how I look at these relationships. You get that bond, the two of you are on the same page, and you can just handle stuff.
Yeah. And that's in any relationship, regardless, right? Like regardless, because there's always going to be issues.
Always.
You know, so I would just want to tell everyone, you have below the 7 steps to kickstart your interracial dating experience. So the link is below. You guys can just click down below, but tell us about your next projects.
Well, I'm working on a book. And the title of this book is What Your Daddy Didn't Tell You About Dating.
Yes.
Unless we change the title before it comes out. But this book is focusing more on the interracial aspects of dating. My first book, What Your Mama Didn't Tell You About Dating, was more focused on your mindset, how you thought about things, what you think men would like in their special lady and stuff like that. But this one is more telling about how to get into an interracial relationship, how to keep it going smoothly and happily and staying connected. Another thing that we're working on is I'm going to be opening up the matchmaking arm of Authentic Love. We're building our list. So if anyone would like to be on that waiting list so that they can start getting instructions on how we're going to work out the matchmaking arm, they're welcome to message me on Instagram at Authentic Love Academy and just put in their matchmaking, and I'll get in there and communicate with you. So those are some of the things that we have coming up, because we're going to do matchmaking, then that means there's going to be other things that are fun things that are going to come along with the matchmaking part. So those are just a few of the things. Then as the year goes on, we'll also have different courses and things we'll be sharing. But those are the main two things that are at the top of our list right now.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing our wisdom. It's been so fun and so good to have you. And click below, everyone, for the 7 steps to kickstart your interracial dating experience.
This has just been a great experience for me too, because I have enjoyed chatting with you, learning more things about you, as well as being able to share. This has just been awesome. And I'm excited also about watching the other people in the summit and seeing what they're speaking of as well, because this is just fun, just a lot of fun.
Yes, it's so fun. All right, well, we'll sign off here, but see you guys at the next interview. Thank you so much, April. So great to have you.